The thing about malaria is that it's preventable. It's a preventable disease. And we've actually been able to eliminate it in places like the US and many other parts of the world. We're Zzapp Malaria, and as you can tell from our name, we deal with malaria, which is one of the most deadly infectious diseases in human history. And the thing about malaria is that it's preventable. It's a preventable disease. And we've actually been able to eliminate it in places like the US and many other parts of the world. And we do that through targeting the mosquitoes that transmit the disease. But it's a slightly different story in sub-Saharan Africa, where every year 500,000 people still die from malaria, and most of them are young children under 5. The problem is that sub-Saharan Africa has a combination of high transmission along with a lack of resources. So it's really crucial that every dollar spent on malaria elimination is maximized. And we do have ways to control the disease. We can spray houses, we can spray water bodies where mosquitoes lay their eggs, and maybe more familiar, we can distribute bed nets, mosquito bed nets, as well as preventive medicine. But the trick is to know exactly where each of these interventions is going to have the most impact. And this is where Zzapp Malaria comes in. And we leverage artificial intelligence to tell us exactly, to answer that question basically. So for each community that we serve, we design a malaria elimination plan that is suited to that specific community and its needs. And the way that we do that is by taking a variety of data that impacts malaria transmission and feeding that into an AI that then recommends strategies for each community. So we look at satellite imagery, we look at population data, climate, as well as topography to give us that answer. And our vision really is that this will allow us to tip the scale in the fight against malaria and move us from this gradual control, very slow gradual control of malaria to actual malaria elimination.
Now tell me, how are you different from others that are in this space?
There's a lot of research, a lot of monitoring around malaria transmission. What's unique about Zzapp is how operationally focused our product is. So we actually developed our AI around a mobile app that uses GPS to guide field workers as they implement malaria interventions. Sort of like the Uber or Waze of malaria control. And that gives us an advantage because the complex strategies designed by our AI need to somehow be conveyed to field workers remotely in remote locations in sub-Saharan Africa, where they can be miles away from their headquarters and their managers. And so our app transforms all of these heat maps, all these calculations to specific instructions such as spray this in this house and scan this area for water bodies and treat them. And this is actually how we got started over 8 years ago. Because the app on its own is useful. It increases the coverage of malaria interventions. The data that we were collecting as we were deploying this app is actually how we were inspired to turn to artificial intelligence and intervention optimization in the first place.
Now, as you look to the next 12 months, what are you focused on?
We're hoping to expand to 2 new countries where we haven't worked before. So we're really excited to learn about, to see what we can learn from these projects. If you are interested in the specifics, you can actually visit zzappmalaria.com where we'll have some updates. And we've already implemented Zzapp in 7 countries. But with every new country and every new ecology, we gather new data that allows us to train our model to recommend interventions in more diverse locations. These operations are also expected to be larger in scale. So it'll be a great demonstration of how scalable our solution is and hopefully make us more attractive to operations on a national scale. In terms of research, we already know that malaria interventions are some of the most cost-effective in terms of lives saved. And we've already published a couple of studies showing that digital technology and artificial intelligence can enhance these interventions even further. But next year, we're hoping to start a couple of academic collaborations that will really help us quantify this impact and compare it to current alternatives. And really every operation, every study that we publish gets us a little bit closer to our goal, which is to put Zzapp in the hands of anybody who's conducting malaria elimination in sub-Saharan Africa, because if you're already investing the resources, we think you should do it in the way that is most cost-effective and most data-driven.
Well, it's been wonderful to talk with you.
Same.
Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Thank you very much.